Coming to you live from our studios in Auckland Park, this is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are the stories making headlines. The ANC has welcomed President Ramaphosa's appointment of Griffiths Mxenge as his special envoy to the United States of America. Road Accident Fund CEO has denied alleged wrongful involvement in a 79 million rand lease deal for the fund's offices. Good evening and welcome to Prime News on 3. An absolute pleasure it is to be in your company this evening. I am Paulette Now. Newly appointed U.S. Special Envoy Griffiths Mxenge has thanked President Cyril Ramaphosa for entrusting him with what he called an important but challenging role. He has vowed to do his best to promote a healthy working relationship between South Africa and the United States. Mxenge has conceded that he was fully cognizant of the difficulties that lie ahead, but sees areas of commonality and mutual interest that could be embraced to reaffirm the long-standing ties between South Africa and the United States. He called on South Africans to exercise patience and allow them time and space to engage fully with different stakeholders in the United States. In an earlier statement, President Ramaphosa said Mxenge would be entrusted to advance South Africa's diplomatic, trade and bilateral priorities and lead negotiations to promote the country's national interests.
This appointment underscores Mr. Mxenge's distinguished career and continued commitment to advancing South Africa's national and economic interests. For decades, South Africa and the United States of America have maintained a historical and strategic relationship. In the interest of our country, our region, and the rest of our continent, President Ramaphosa remains committed to rebuilding and maintaining this relationship for more decades on the basis of mutual respect, recognition of each other's sovereignty, and benefit for our respective peoples.
Firstly, I think it's a very good development. I say so because President Trump deals with envoys. If you have a look at how he structures his negotiations, he deals with envoys. So why that is important is, and why this appointment is particularly important for the following reasons. Firstly, the United States is our second biggest trading partner and our second biggest investor in South Africa. So we cannot afford to ignore the relationship. Yes, it is strained, as you correctly say, and I think appointing an envoy is some attempt to narrow the gap, or that strained gap that we are seeing at the moment.
Road Accident Fund CEO Collins Lutuli says that he will cooperate with investigations into wrongdoing relating to a 79 million rand lease agreement. Leaked findings from a preliminary report by the Special Investigating Unit suggest that Lutuli did not follow proper processes. It is alleged that he interfered with supply chain processes in the appointment of Moana Properties, a bidder that initially lost.
RAF CEO Collins Lutuli insists he did follow proper processes and acted within his rights in relation to Moana Properties securing the 79 million rand lease deal. He suggests that there is a campaign to tarnish his name as he looks towards another term in office.
People are afraid of me not coming. They say he must not come there. Hey, I know you're going to work very hard. I don't know what you're going to do because I'm interested in the next term.
Regarding the other allegations of cleaning and security contracts being extended irregularly, Lutuli had this to say.
There is this cleaning. I don't even know, as I'm telling you now, who cleans RAF offices. I don't know who provides security to us. And frankly, I'm not interested. In the ordinary course of people doing their work, people will come and say, well, there is this contract that needs extension. We then extend it if there is a need. And most of these contracts anyway fall within the remit of the board. Most of them, including this particular one that we have just finalized. It was a recommendation to the board. You would have thought I approved myself. No. I've got bosses.
He also responded to claims that he unilaterally changed the entity's accounting standards, making it difficult for the Auditor General to audit the books.
We are often asked, but what if you get this adverse opinion? Well, if we believe that we have presented this thing in line with the GRAP 3, the guidelines and everything, we have done the right thing. That the AG differs with us cannot then trounce these principles.
Attempts to reach Moana Properties were unsuccessful. Meanwhile, the SIU declined to comment on an ongoing investigation. Nosipho Radebe, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Presence, I think it's important as South Africans.
Gauteng Premier Panyazali Sufi has urged road users to be extremely cautious on the roads. He was speaking to the media at the launch of the Easter Road Safety Campaign on the N12 freeway.
Many people will be traveling to various holiday destinations, while others going on pilgrimages this Easter long weekend. According to the Road Traffic Management Corporation, a total of 335 fatalities were recorded in last year's Easter weekend, compared to 252 of the same period in 2023. The Gauteng Traffic Police and other law enforcement agencies will be out in full force this Easter to ensure road users adhere to road safety laws.
We appeal to drivers to please take regular rest breaks every 2 hours or 200 kilometers. Do not drink and drive. Do not overload. Do not speed. Avoid unsafe overtaking, which results in head-on collisions, which are mostly fatal.
A number of roadblocks will be set up on major routes in the run-up to and during the Easter weekend. While some may view this as an inconvenience, however, authorities say this is for your own safety. Lisofi pleaded with road users to respect and comply with road safety regulations to avoid fatalities.
There will be a certain number that will be announced that people have died. We don't need that. We should have information to say people have arrived home safely and that people are happy. So it starts here. It starts in respecting the laws, and it also starts in eliminating content. You can have your content on your WhatsApp group or TikTok when you arrive. You can't have the content when you drive.
He says the roadblocks will continue after the Easter weekend. Calvin Dludla, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The case against a woman accused of the murder of a man who was shot and killed inside the Wynberg Magistrates Court in Cape Town last week has been postponed to the 23rd of April for bail information at the same court. On Tuesday, a man believed to be a taxi owner was gunned down inside the court.
The 35-year-old woman has been charged with murder in connection with the fatal shooting that occurred inside the Wynberg Magistrates Court. She made her first court appearance in the court today. There was a heavy police presence inside the courtroom. She's alleged to be the mastermind who orchestrated the brazen hit. She remains in custody and will appear again on the 23rd of April for bail information.
We believe at this stage that it's a Schedule 6. The reasons we say that is that the evidence that we have now points that she organized and recruited to assassinate the deceased who was shot in this court.
Police say a second suspect has been arrested in connection with the case and also faces a charge of murder.
What I can say is that we made second arrest. The person is being questioned, and also we have identified more people. So with time we are going to effect more arrests.
We commend the swift action by the state, and we encourage the state to ensure that justice is served. No one must feel free and comfortable to murder people inside our court premises.
The shooting incident inside the court has raised serious concerns about security. Calls have been made for an inquiry into the shooting incident inside the court. Corbin August, SABC News, Cape Town.
Welcome back. The National Prosecuting Authority intends to sketch a picture of the circumstances surrounding the passing of anti-apartheid activist Chief Albert Lutuli, which exposes collusion into the initial inquest into Lutuli's death. This was revealed during the reopening of the inquest into the death of Lutuli, a renowned anti-apartheid activist, former ANC president and Nobel Peace Prize laureate at the KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg.
Senior State Advocate Lutuli Dunia's opening statement before the KZN High Court in Pietermaritzburg into the death of anti-apartheid activist Chief Albert Lutuli suggests that new evidence will contest the initial September 1967 inquest finding that there was no evidence which disclosed any criminal culpability on the part of any of the employees of South African Railways or anyone else. This after official reports suggested that Lutuli was struck by a goods train.
Evidence shall be placed before your ladyship, which will expose collusion between the security police, district surgeons, pathologists, prosecutors, and magistrates, including the magistrate that presided over the initial inquest on the 21st of September 1967.
The scores of witnesses to testify in this fact-finding inquiry will include a qualified steam locomotive driver, as well as a forensic artist and analyst, to name a few. However, first up is Captain Samang Frank Khamanyane, a member of the South African Police Services, who was able to trace the inquest record of 1967 and its annexures. Khamanyane testified about information that could not be traced, such as Lutuli's images.
I also attempted to trace any photographs relating to the late Chief Albert Lutuli, as none were reflected as being part of the inquest record. I was looking specifically for the crime scene or post-mortem photographs without any success.
An inquest is a judicial inquiry which is held with the objective of determining a cause of death when a death is believed to be not from natural causes or questions are raised about the circumstances. The inquest continues. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Pietermaritzburg.
Meanwhile, the Pietermaritzburg High Court has provisionally adjourned the inquest proceedings into the death of anti-apartheid activist and human rights lawyer Griffiths Mxenge. Mxenge was killed during the apartheid regime in 1981.
The first day of the inquest into the death of prominent ANC leader and human rights lawyer Griffiths Mxenge was cut short due to the absence of some key witnesses. The court heard that some of the witnesses subpoenaed to give evidence during the inquest have requested legal representation from the South African Police Service. The witnesses, who were employed in the former security branch of the then police, are still awaiting a decision regarding their application to be granted legal representation during the proceedings. The judge provisionally adjourned the matter. The Mxenge family says they are looking forward to hearing the details surrounding the death of the struggle stalwart.
We agree that the truth is going to come out. It is going to open up wounds, but I think it is best that it comes out. We will heal when we know the truth. We will heal when the justice is done. It is painful to know that people who did these things to both our parents, they never paid. They were never taken to court. That one, it's more painful than listening to what actually happened.
A number of senior ANC leaders attended the proceedings. NEC member Zweli Mkhize says this process is a step towards uncovering the truth.
We believe that it will help us to give us more of the truth of what happened during the death of so many of the leaders. We hope that the families will find closure when more information is made available. But we also believe that it's important for the history to be properly recorded. The apartheid government were masters of deception. They would assassinate and then create a story on the one side as to what might have happened to the individual.
The matter will be back in court on the 17th of June. Simpiwe Makanya, SABC News, Pietermaritzburg.
The KwaZulu-Natal Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs is urging residents across large parts of the province to take extreme caution following an alert level 4 weather warning for disruptive rain. The weather forecast has indicated that persistent rainfall is expected over most parts of the province, especially those along the coast, including eThekwini.
The embassy for COGTA in the province of KZN, Reverend Tulasize Buthelezi, has placed disaster management teams on high alert across the province. Areas that are expected to be affected include the districts of Umzinyathi, Amajuba, Umkungundlovu, Ilembe, eThekwini Metro, Ugu District, and King Cetshwayo. Disaster management teams will continue to monitor inclement weather conditions across the province and will provide assistance where required.
The G20 meeting held today in Sandton will look at Africa's healthcare system. President Cyril Ramaphosa, in his role as the African Union's Pandemic Preparedness Response Champion, emphasized the importance of securing Africa's healthcare system. African Prosperity Fund President Yavi Madurai says that Africa needs to create a space where it is self-reliant, optimizes self-manufacturing, and creates investment in the continent.
The President of South Africa is the AU Pandemic Preparedness Response Champion. So he was the COVID champion and then he became Pandemic Preparedness Response Champion. And in that, he has called for localized manufacturing so that we can become self-reliant. It comes at a crucial time, not only because of that self-reliance, but because we're living in the era of the AfCFTA, which means that the manufacturing and trade agenda as well as health security together, it's perfect timing, shall we put it. So today's event is about how do we bring all of the key role players within those two spheres together, and how do we then create an actual project, an actual something in order to move us forward. It's a G20 official side event because we are looking at ensuring that there's some kind of declaration that is presented to the health and the finance working groups. Now we're in the era of the AfCFTA, which allows us to be able to say, how does Africans buy from Africans for Africans, made by Africans, so that we can start to look at things like how do we create a pooled procurement system so that we're able to supply and we've got security in that supply. Because let's go back to your comment about COVID. We didn't have security of supply. We relied on outside parties, external markets to provide us with medication. We still do. We've got a heavy dependency on outside markets. So now this is what this is all about, is how do we start creating self-reliance? How do we start optimizing manufacturing? How do we create investment into the country, into the countries across the continent to be able to start being able to produce at the levels, because that becomes the thing, is the volumes that are required.
Well, with that, time now for your weather forecast, Wimpo Rasimpi.
Thank you very much and a very warm welcome to the weather desk. Let's take a look at those conditions over the country now. We're still expecting the trough over the interior of the Northern Cape and still causing up to 80% chance of showers and thunder showers as we move towards the Eastern Cape. Scattered over KwaZulu-Natal, stretching towards Free State. It is going to be a cloudy night as we move into Gauteng and also Limpopo. For tomorrow, we see that 80% chance of showers and thunder showers extending into KwaZulu-Natal. Still scattered over Mpumalanga, Free State, and into parts of the Northwest and also the Northern Cape. The mother city can expect a clear day for tomorrow, and those clear conditions are stretching into that interior of the Northern Cape. Gauteng just isolated for tomorrow, which means that it will rain in places over that province, stretching into parts of Limpopo and also the Northwest. Looking at some mornings for tomorrow, we expect some disruptive rainfall over that interior of KwaZulu-Natal. This is where we had that 80% chance of showers and thunder showers, meaning that flooding is a possibility over those areas. That disruptive rainfall, it is becoming level 2 as we move into the southern parts of Mpumalanga. Moving into the central parts of the country, it is a level 2 warning of severe thunderstorm over most of that interior of the Northern Cape. Remember, those severe thunderstorms can be accompanied by a large amount of small hail. Heavy downpours which can lead to localized flooding and also strong damaging winds. Now moving towards our overnight temperatures, it is going to be a cool night, especially over Bethlehem. We're expecting a low of 11. Cold conditions over Calvinia and Sunderland, with Sunderland dropping down to 4. The mother city dropping down to 12 for tonight. For tomorrow, it is going to be a cool day over Bethlehem with a high of 19, 25 over Johannesburg, 27 as we move into Limpopo, especially over Polokwane. It is going to be a cool day over that interior of KwaZulu-Natal. That's why Pietermaritzburg is peaking at 16. Sure, will be cold because of those rainy conditions that are expected for tomorrow. It is expected to rain the whole day, so please, let's make sure that we take care over those areas. The Mana City for tomorrow, it is quite a cloudy day with a high of 22. Sunderland, it is cold for tonight, but for tomorrow, it is a little bit chilly with a high of 19. 24 will be your maximum as we move into Upington for tomorrow. That's all the weather I have for you. Stay tuned.
That concludes our time together this evening. Much gratitude for joining us tonight. Until next time, it's good night and God bless.